Good morning, you guys. I'm a little bit late because I had some technical difficulties. My ring light just went out, so I had to adjust. But we are here. Let's get straight into this morning's live. Okay, so this morning's live is, let me make sure that it's on in the Autism ADHD Parent Lounge. Perfect. So this morning's live is the topic is my daughter or no electronics or no TV during the weekdays for my daughter, why we chose this rule and what happened. Now, before I get into today's live, I have some housekeeping things to talk about. First of all, I just haven't mentioned this in a while, and I want you guys to get what you are here to get out of this lounge, out of this parent lounge. So I appreciate everyone who is engaging and asking for what they need. I want more of that. So if you guys have, this is how I want you, this is one way to navigate this Autism ADHD Parent Lounge. If you have a question in any way and you don't want to just turn to Google right away, or even if you've turned to Google and you can't find the answer that you're looking for, I want you to come to this parent lounge and type in something related to your question. See if it's in there in the group. If it's not in the group, then ask what you're wanting information on. I love to answer questions by going live instead of just, you guys have to read a lot of things. And I just like to explain things better verbally than I do communicating them through writing all the time, especially when it's a specific question. So do that. This is your reminder to say what's on your mind in this group. Talk about you and your role as a parent, things that you find successful for your child, things that you are finding difficult. Share stories that make you laugh with other parents so that they can relate and you can connect with them. Meet people in this group. This group is, I want this Autism ADHD Parent Lounge to be a more of a community for you to have people around you to support you through this journey of parenting. Really, parenting in itself is such an intimate responsibility. When you add in that extra variable of raising a child on the autism spectrum or ADHD, a lot of people don't understand that level of perception. And for you, it's just different. Parenting your child is just different. And a lot of the times we have to unlearn a lot of the things that we've learned through being parented by our own parents, and consciously making the decision to change the way that we parent our children so that we're not continuously establishing certain things in our children that were established in us that weren't necessarily helpful or supportive. And we're not always going to know all the answers. We're not always going to know exactly what to do in every single situation. So, having another perspective, having other people here who support you, truly understand what you're going through, is a great place for you to get the support that you need. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this live. So, before we dive into all the things, I kind of want to give you an overview of what I'm going to talk about in this live. So if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay in the comments so that I know you're watching the replay and I can interact with you while you're watching it live. And yeah, so first I'm going to talk about why we decided to choose this role in the first place. And then I'm going to talk about what I noticed during this week and what happened. I'm also going to mention mine and my husband's dynamic around the rule and discussions that we had during the week. It's such an important it's such an important factor to consider or talk about, just co-parenting with a parent, another person, period. And I'll talk about that more later in the live. But and then I'm going to wrap up with just some next steps that you can do to really support your child if you decide to not, if you decide to change your rules around electronics in the house. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. First, one of the main reasons why my husband and I chose to not have electronics on during the week is because ultimately we want our daughter to have a well-rounded amount of skills, and we don't want her to be consumed just by the television. And it was a it was an easy decision to make because it is important for us, but it was also very difficult in a lot of ways because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm also working on I'm the only person solely in my business, and I'm also managing the household and entertaining my daughter throughout the entire day. I'm exhausted, and sometimes it's so much easier to focus if I just say, hey, for this particular hour, this specific hour, I'm going to let her watch something so I have no interruptions. And that's the thing, I get no interruptions. She is absolutely glued to the TV. And a lot of the times I don't want her to get so zoned into any type of device or anything that she's watching that she can't pay attention to anything else. While I understand how important of a skill being able to focus on one thing at a time is, it's great that she can focus on watching TV and not worry about distractions. I also want her to notice different changes in her environment. So there are times where I will speak to her while she's watching just to see if she responds, if she's still aware of what's going on outside of what she's just glued into. Um, another reason why Another reason why I decided to create this rule or enforce this rule in our house is because I feel like in the past I've kind of, you know, tiptoed around the conversation around electronics in the group because I understand how important it is for you as a parent, especially if you're raising a child on the autism spectrum or ADHD, and using electronics is often a coping skill or a coping strategy for your child. And oftentimes, there's a limited amount of things that children who are on the autism spectrum who they don't have very many other activities that they enjoy doing. And if electronics are on and they're watching electronics, sometimes it's a lot of problem behaviors occur when those electronics are taken away. And I understand, I don't believe in shaming any parent for anything that they do in their parenting at all. And I don't want anyone in this group to think that I am trying to instill my own values and my own ideas of how parenting should be onto you. So my main focus in this group is I'm never going to tell you how to parent. That is not my goal. I'm always going to bring my own perspective as an expert to this group, and I want you to make an informed decision on whether you're going to take the advice that I give or not. And ultimately, the best way that you can navigate parenting is feeling confident in the way that you parent your child, regardless if they're on the autism spectrum, regardless if they have ADHD, regardless of their capabilities. The best way to parent your child is to be confident in the way that you are parenting them. So, yeah, that's a couple of reasons why we decided to implement this rule. Also, taking the TV away from my daughter after she had watched it for a while does result in some tantrum like behaviors like crying or screaming no. However, it doesn't prolong for a long period of time. So I'm okay with my daughter crying when she doesn't get what she wants. That's life. If she's upset about it, she can be upset about it. Um, but I don't want this to turn into something bigger down the road. So what happened was very interesting. One of the things that I noticed immediately was that she asked for it the very first day. She asked for the she asked for 1 second. Let me see. Oops. She asked for the TV a lot on the first day. And the first day after, so Monday, she asked for the TV a lot. And I didn't count how many times she watched or she asked to watch TV. I simply just told her TV's not coming on today, but you can play X, Y, and Z. Now, it was a perfect time to implement this rule because her birthday was Sunday. Her birthday was Sunday, and she got a lot of different toys from family members and games and things. So that essentially replaced the time that she was spending watching TV to entertain herself. And she enjoyed playing with a lot of the new things that she got. Like her bike, she is absolutely in love with her bike. She got some other new toys and letters and games and things like that that she enjoyed playing with. So it was an easy transition into the week from our previous history with TV is she got to watch TV during the day sometimes. So I never had her in front of the TV all day. But when there's times where I had a meeting or something and I needed her to not interrupt me, I did let her watch TV. But yeah, it was an easy transition because she had so many other things to do to entertain herself, that the tantrums didn't really happen when she asked for TV and I told her no. She just would simply say, "Oh man," and then go find whatever else, go find a different activity to do. So I did take data on this behavior because I wanted to see if there was a change, if there was actually a change in her behavior. And I just wrote down every time that she asked me in my notes. So the very first day, she asked 5 times. So not the first day because I didn't take data on Monday. On Tuesday, I started taking data Wednesday actually. Wednesday, she asked 5 times. Thursday, she asked 2 times. And Friday, she asked over 10 times. I didn't keep track because she was saying it so many times. And Friday, she said it so many times. There's a couple of factors as to why I think that she said it. She asked for so many times. One was because Friday, typically before, is my day off. And this is the day that we watch, it's like our Disney day where we watch movies on Disney and we're just kind of just doing whatever we want to do. More of like a yes day. So that could have contributed to why she asked a lot more. She asked about 3 times in the morning time and then another one maybe like around 3 something. But around 8 o'clock, my husband and I and Zoo went to eat dinner. We went to eat pizza for dinner. And on our way home, my husband says that he wants to watch a movie and eat popcorn. And of course, my daughter could not unhear what he said. So she asked, probably around like every 5 minutes, from the time that we were in the car till the time we got home, she was asking so sweetly. And in that moment, when my husband asked, I literally, I didn't know how to respond in the moment because I knew that I needed to have a conversation with him about talking about it, because we had already established the rule that we weren't going to have TV on during the weekdays, and Friday is included in that weekday. So clearly there was a breakdown in communication between my husband and myself. And in the moment, my daughter's asking, and I didn't want to just say yes because I wanted to have a conversation first. So I literally just stayed quiet the entire time. Let her ask, just kind of occupied myself. My husband kept trying to ask me, like, basically signaling, like, hello, I'm asking you something or I'm talking to you about something. But I didn't want to have the conversation in front of my daughter, and we were in the car. So I kind of just waited until we got home and then we talked about it. And this is the part where I think this is a huge part of how we navigate rules in our household. When there's a miscommunication between partners, it can change things in a lot of different ways. And depending on how you handle conflict in your relationship will depend on how you navigate moving through this particular situation. So here's the thing that I want to say. When you are parenting with a partner, you always have to look at it as you are co-parenting regardless, because when you are yourself, the values and the ideas that you have about parenting are unique to you. The values and ideas that your partner has about parenting are unique to them. And we have different upbringings. We have different perspectives on the way that parenting should be. And when you're parenting with the partner, you're always going to be co-parenting, whether they live in the house or they don't live in the house, because you, with all the different ideas that you have as a parent, all the things that you've learned from being parenting yourself are probably going to be different from what your partner learned and how your partner was parented themselves. And there's always going to need to be conversation had between partners on all the rules that you guys decide to implement in your household, especially when it comes to your parenting. Now, the conversation that my husband and I had, I initially let him know that, it seems like, and I initially told him, it seems like you're not on the same page with this rule. And, he of course says that he is on the same page, but then my perspective, or my argument, I guess I would say, was that because, he's mentioned that he wanted to watch TV and eat popcorn on Friday, which is a weekday, it seems like we're not on the same page. In my perspective, we weren't doing TV throughout Monday through Friday, regardless. And because my daughter was asking so many times and she was tolerating me not responding to her, in my head, I'm like, okay, if I say no, she'll probably say, oh man, or maybe she'll have a bigger tantrum because she asked so much and she's been deprived from the TV all week. I don't know. I decided, I made the choice, my husband and I made the choice to avoid any tantrum that would happen. So what we ended up doing after my husband and I had the conversation, we talked about it, and now on the same page, we both decided that, okay, we can watch something on tonight because we've already, the situation that happened, but we'll trade one of the days, the no electron or the yes electronic days from the weekends. So instead of not watching TV on Friday, we decided to not watch TV Saturday. And interestingly enough, which I didn't expect this, all day yesterday, my daughter did not ask to watch TV at all. There were no, she never asked. Um, she, when she woke up, it was around 10 a.m. She still hadn't asked. And typically when she wakes up, one of the first questions that she asked before we implemented this was, I want to watch something. And Saturday morning, it didn't happen. She was playing with her toys. She even asked to go for a walk. And all of these things are, I was very, honestly, I was surprised by the outcome. Um, and just as a side note, I was talking to a parent. I mentioned this before in the group that we take our daughter to Kid Strong. Um, and if you look up, we take our daughter to Kid Strong, and I was talking to one of the parents after the class, and I was talking to them about how we decided to have no TV during the week, and she explained that they had done this with her kids as well, and she has two kids, um, one around Zoo's age and one a little bit older. And she said that, when they decided to have no electronics on during the day, the first 2 days were really brutal for them, but after that, they didn't have to worry about it anymore. So that what she said and the experience that we had showed me that, even if this is something that you've been thinking about for a while, if you're like, I know that my child watching TV a lot has certain effects, it results in certain types of behaviors, it results in other things that you've been wanting to handle, but you don't know how to respond to it. And if you decide to remove or reduce the amount of electronics or TV that you allow your children to have, whatever happens after, just know that it's temporary. And depending on how long of a history they have with spending time with watching TV, being on electronics, will depend on how long it takes for them to adjust to the new rule that you and your partner or you decide to implement. So if they're older, just know and just expect a lot more um, negotiation to occur. Expect your child to fight you on this a lot more. And I never recommend a cold turkey type of situation, depending on the situation. But I never recommend a cold turkey. I always recommend, like, let's start taking baby steps if that makes you feel more comfortable. I'm okay with being uncomfortable in the discomfort. But if this is something that, if you're going through a lot in your life outside of what's been happening, I highly, highly, highly recommend don't adding extra, extra stress by cold turkeying anything that you do. I always say, put it, I always say start start small and continue to build on that. So if your child is older and they spend all of their time in front of electronics and you want them to do more things outside of watching TV, like going outside, taking walks, engaging with other people, then I highly recommend you having a conversation with them and talk to them about the changes that you and your partner are going to make. Decide the parameters of what you want going into the conversation, and really take the time to listen to what your child has to say and negotiate with them. If there's something that they're willing to say to add to this new rule, consider it. It doesn't mean that you have to take what they say and change the rule if that's not what you want, if it doesn't align with the ultimate goal. But considering their perspective, especially when they're older, is going to be crucial in how that changes. If you just cold turkey, put your foot down, you're the rule setter, lay down the hammer for your child who's older, I promise you, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. So have that conversation with them. My daughter's younger. If I were to bring up, look, we're not having the TV on for the week, do you have anything to contribute? That would completely go over her head. She's not there yet to where we can have a conversation to negotiate a new rule. So my husband and I had the conversation, set the rule, and just responded after that. Now, another thing that I noticed, and this is a super important part as well. So of course, with this new rule, we have to look at our own behavior as well. And what I noticed about my behavior and my husband's behavior, because we took out this no TV during the weekdays, I noticed that both of us were spending so much more time on our phones. Not completely, I didn't take data on this, so I don't know for sure, but my assumption is that we didn't completely spend all of the time that we do on TV and replace it with our phones. But I did notice that we were both, being on our phones while our daughter is kind of playing and doing something else, which isn't a bad thing. I noticed myself that I wanted to watch TV, especially when I was like, I've had a long day. I don't want to do anything. I just want to escape. I want to watch TV. But I also stayed true to the rule and didn't watch TV during the week. Except one night when my daughter went to sleep, my husband and I watched House of Dragon. Let me know in the comments if you're also watching House of Dragon. But that was the only thing that we watched during the week. Now, that being said, this brings me to any time that you want to adjust or change rules within your household, especially if there's already a history of a certain rule established and you're making a change. The best way to get on board with being consistent with that change is managing our own behaviors as parents. So when things get hard, and I mentioned this in the group this week, that I'm in my last week of grading from the summer. And I always save my students' behavior change project for last, because I always want to, it's just another opportunity to connect with them on a personal level, because their behavior change project is changing their own behavior. And this paper is typically between like 10 to 14 pages long, and I need complete focus. It takes me literally about 45 minutes to an hour to grade each paper, and I didn't get a lot of that time during this week because my daughter needed more. She was socializing more. She wanted to socialize more with me because she wasn't watching TV, which is a great thing. However, as the week days went by the time Thursday came, I was starting to feel the pressure of being behind and grading my papers. And I noticed that I wasn't as patient with my daughter as I aimed to be on a daily basis. And I also know that I'm really, really fucking hard on myself. And I will sit there and ruminate on all the mistakes that I had just made and how I interacted with her and all of these things. But I literally have to tell myself, get over being guilty. Like, it happened, it's over. There's nothing that I can do about it. Just continue to move forward because I need to focus on being able to get these papers graded and being able to get through the rest of the day. And with that, the best thing that I could do, or the best thing that helped the situation and didn't make it as bad as it could have potentially been with all the stress that's happening and all the new changes, is that my daughter and I are able to communicate with each other. So when I am being frustrated, when I'm frustrated about something and my patience, my tolerance is very low, there are times where I catch myself, and the best way that I cope with feeling frustrated is that I take the tone down intentionally in my voice in the way that I talk to my daughter. I talk to her very calmly and very with a lower tone, and just talk to her very matter of factly. And when those times happen, she does listen to me because I'm not yelling at her, I'm not screaming at her, I'm not demanding her to do what I want her to do, but I'm really taking the time to cope with my own frustration by literally just like lowering my voice, talking to her about what I'm trying to, about whatever it is, whatever the situation is. And she can listen to what I'm saying and respond accordingly. And I, one thing that helps a lot, because my daughter and I can communicate with each other, because she has a certain level of communication where she can understand a lot of the things that I'm saying, we negotiate a lot in our, like, we negotiate through conflicts that we have on a day-to-day basis. So if I want my daughter to do something, instead of just telling her do this, I listen to what she's protesting. So if I'm like, okay, she's protesting, she's resisting, that's my opportunity to say, what is going on? So I simply ask her, what do you want? And she'll, in the best way that she can, explain what she wants. And I, once we get on a page where I understand what she wants, I think about, okay, is this something that I want to say no to just because I'm frustrated, or is this something that could still help us get to where we're ultimately trying to go? And if it's, if whatever she's saying is still in alignment with wherever we're trying to go, there's no reason for me to say no. So especially if it doesn't take a lot of effort on my part. So whatever the situation is, that's how we move through those things. And it's so difficult to move through those things when your child can first, when your child cannot, one, express what they want, and two, they can't understand what you're trying to say. So that brings me to why communication is such an important piece to how you're able to connect with your child. And I understand that if you and your child are not able to communicate with each other, you can't understand what you guys are, you can't understand each other, and that makes you feel so disconnected from your child. And regardless of all the support that is out there for you when you're raising a child on the autism spectrum or ADHD, what it really comes down to, the most important thing for parents who love their children, is the relationship that you have with your child. And communication is the gatekeeper for connection in your relationship with your child. And there's a lot of parenting gurus out there, there's a lot of parenting experts out there. And one of the things that I feel like separates me from a lot of the other parents is, I'm not just talking about how to connect with your child by doing this or doing that or doing this and doing that. I like to give really simple strategies that don't take away from the way that you parent. You choose to parent the way that you want to, but the strategies that I provide or offer are strategies that actually work because they're based on the human behavior and that are so simple and so easy and require minimal effort on your part to make the change that you really want to make. And I talked about this a lot during the week. If you are if you're having trouble figuring out how to help your child communicate more, um, you've tried looking things up, you've tried different things, but you still find yourself in the same spot and you don't know how to um, really what you need to do as a parent. You don't know what you need to do as a parent to really help them communicate more. And I know that you may think that, more resources, more support from other people is the answer. But I'm here to tell you that instead of adding on more and more and more, let's take a look at what is currently happening between you and your child specifically, and what can you do as a parent to maybe tweak the way that you respond or add in one little thing or a couple of things and how you interact with them to help them communicate more. What is that thing and what can you start to do to implement right now to make that change happen? Now, I let everyone know that my $97 60-minute parent consultation um, consultation to support with communication, the offer in Saturday, but I'm going to go ahead and extend it until through the rest of the day. So if you are watching this live and you would like to communicate, or if you would like to book a $97 consultation call with me to figure out what is the steps that you need to do to help your child communicate more right now, then send me a DM and we can set that up. So we can set that up as soon as our availabilities align. So we're not going to draw it out, and you don't have to wait for very long. If you're on a wait list and you are waiting for support, this can put you ahead of the game. This can help you while you're in that waiting limbo period. Specifically focusing on communication is going to open the doors for so many other things. Once you understand, or once your child has a means of communication and you are understanding what they are communicating, that means a lot of the other behaviors are naturally going to dissipate because they have something new to use to communicate what you want instead of the behaviors that they're engaging in to communicate what they want. And I know that's what you want. I know you want your child to just be able to communicate to you in a way that you understand so that you can help them, so that you can support them. So if that's something that you are needing if that's something that you're needing, send me a DM so that we can set that up. Now, moving on to this week, when it comes to electronics, if you want to address the use of electronics in your house, but you don't want to cold turkey it, you want to figure out a way that's going to make the most sense for your situation that doesn't completely disrupt your entire lifestyle, and you want to brainstorm some ideas with me to figure out where the most important steps are to start with, then send me a DM so that we can set up a call to talk about that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and have the same amount. So just for this week, this consultation will be $97. So if you either want support with communication or support with making changes to your use of electronics, send me a DM. Now, the support for electronics, that I'm going to extend that offer through Saturday this week. And after Saturday, then I will no longer be accepting clients. offering that consultation, that 60-minute consultation for you, specifically for electronics. So here's the thing: when we do this, when we have this conversation, we book our call and we talk. We're going to talk about. I'm going to ask you lots of questions to really understand where you're at. These questions are going to help me figure out what's the best next step. And after we talk, you're going to, I'm going to continue to check up on you throughout the next couple of weeks, just so that you can have someone to talk with as far as what's happening, what may be changing, what's not changing, what's working, what's not working, so that we can make those adjustments for 2 weeks. I'm also going to follow up with a video about what we talked about during the call, so that you don't have to try to remember everything that happened. I'm going to send that video directly to your email so that you have it and you can reference it as you're making the changes or implementing the changes that you're to support your child in communication or in electronics. So that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait for next Sunday's live. My brain is going the direction of parenting, co-parenting with a partner who's in the house or not in the house. So I'll keep you guys posted on the specifics for next Sunday's live. But this week I will talk more about communication and electronics, just so that you know. Last thing before I go, if you have questions, do not be shy in this group. Send your questions, post them. Who cares what other people are thinking? Take what you need out of this group. Get what you want. If you're waiting for support and you need support now, take advantage of the Autism ADHD Parent Lounge. So enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys soon.